There are coordinates on our map that exist solely as warnings, places where the borders are not drawn by politics, but by lethal consequences and silent agreements. We are taught the world is open for exploration, yet certain doors are bolted shut from the inside. Humanity has an obsessive need to conquer every corner of the Earth. When we are told we cannot enter a space, it only deepens the psychological itch to know what hides in the dark. Today, we are peeling back the layers of places legally, physically, and morally sealed off from the public. These are not just restricted zones. They're monuments to our own vulnerability. If you are drawn to the world's most unsettling mysteries, you have found your place. Deep inside a frozen mountain in the Arctic Circle lies a concrete wedge designed to outlive us all. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault in Norway is often called the Doomsday Vault. It sits surrounded by polar bears and perpetual ice, locked away in an atmosphere so cold it burns the lungs. Inside rest over 1 million seed samples, representing a genetic backup of the world's food supply. But there is a chilling quiet here that feels less like preservation and more like an admission of impending failure. The very existence of this facility implies that those in power anticipate a cataclysm they cannot prevent. Most assume the vault is guarded by heavily armed military personnel. The truth is far more unnerving. There are no full-time guards. The facility relies almost entirely on the hostile, freezing wilderness to kill anyone foolish enough to trespass. Recently, thawing permafrost caused water to breach the entrance tunnel, creating a localized failure of the Earth itself. The vault, meant to survive the apocalypse, was nearly compromised by the very climate shift it was built to outlast. While Svalbard prepares for a future collapse, our next location was abandoned to nature long ago, and nature transformed it into a nightmare. Off the coast of Sao Paulo rests a jagged slab of rock wrapped in dense green canopy. Ilha da Queimada Grande in Brazil is better known by its warning label, Snake Island. The Brazilian Navy explicitly forbids anyone from stepping foot on these shores. The ground literally writhes. Estimates suggest there is one golden lancehead viper for every square meter of the forest floor. These snakes possess a venom so potent it melts human flesh upon contact. Yet the true mystery is not the danger, but the isolation. The golden lancehead exists nowhere else on Earth. When rising sea levels severed the island from the mainland thousands of years ago, the snakes were trapped. To survive, they evolved to strike migratory birds out of the air, developing a venom 5 times stronger than their mainland cousins. There used to be a lighthouse keeper here in the early 20th century. Official records state the automated lighthouse replaced him for routine efficiency. Local legend insists the keeper, his wife, and their children were hunted down through the jungle by a synchronized swarm after vipers breached their windows in the dead of night. As terrifying as venom and fangs can be, biological threats are easily understood compared to the ghosts locked beneath the soil of our next destination. Beneath the rolling hills of southwestern France is a museum curated by ghosts. The Lascaux Caves hold some of the most hauntingly pristine Paleolithic artwork ever discovered. 17,000 years ago, early humans crawled into the pitch-black depths to paint hundreds of galloping animals across the ceiling. In 1940, a group of teenagers stumbled upon the entrance, accidentally opening a time capsule that had been sealed for millennia. By 1963, the French government closed it forever. The official reason is preservation. The simple act of human breathing altered the cave's delicate atmosphere, introducing a black fungus that began eating the ancient pigments. We were erasing our own history just by looking at it. But there is an overlooked detail concerning the layout of these chambers. The deepest shaft of the cave system contains a solitary, crude painting of a dead man with a bird's head. Archaeologists cannot agree on why it is hidden so far away from the rest. It breaks the pattern of the majestic animal murals, radiating a strange, frantic energy. Some researchers quietly theorize that Lascaux was not merely an art gallery, but a quarantine zone for a long-forgotten psychological ritual. We shut the doors to save the paintings, but perhaps the Earth originally sealed off this cavern to contain something else. While Lascaux hides the secrets of our ancient ancestors, our next entry hides the shadows of our present reality. In the barren dust of the Nevada desert sits an expanse of empty space that officially did not exist until 2013. Area 51 in the United States is the most famous secret on the planet. Miles of chain-link fences, ominous warning signs, and unmarked white trucks patrol the perimeter of Groom Lake. We know it as a testing ground for experimental aircraft and classified military technology. The airspace above it is a restricted box, where unauthorized pilots are met with lethal force. But the unease surrounding this base has very little to do with little green men or flying saucers. The true terror is the suffocating silence of the black budget apparatus. Trillions of dollars vanish into classified defense programs, and this stretch of desert is where the physical results are born. People who worked there in decades past suffered mysterious respiratory illnesses from toxic materials burned in open pits. When they tried to sue the government for medical care, their cases were dismissed because the chemicals that poisoned them were classified. The system effectively erased their suffering to protect a phantom program. The great twist of Area 51 is that the alien conspiracies might have been deliberately encouraged by the intelligence community. It is the perfect camouflage. While citizens look at the skies searching for extraterrestrials, they ignore the very real, unaccountable power operating right in front of them. Yet, as impenetrable as military fences are, they pale in comparison to a barrier built of pure human hostility. Adrift in the azure waters of the Bay of Bengal is a paradise where the penalty for arrival is death. North Sentinel Island belongs to India only in name. In reality, it is a sovereign territory of the unknown. A dense ring of coral reefs guards a white sand coastline, backed by impenetrable jungle. Within those trees lives the Sentinelese tribe, a group of hunter-gatherers who have existed in total isolation for roughly 60,000 years. They are a direct link to the dawn of humanity. And they have made one thing violently clear to the outside world. They want nothing to do with us. Any boat that drifts too close is met with a hail of iron-tipped arrows. The Indian government enforces a strict exclusion zone, criminalizing any attempt to make contact. This isolation is a matter of survival, as a common cold virus could wipe out their entire uncontacted civilization in a matter of days. But the psychological weight of North Sentinel Island is profound and deeply disturbing. They survived the catastrophic 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami without any modern warning systems. Helicopters flying over the island to check for survivors were greeted by a lone warrior on the beach, firing arrows at the sky. The unseen detail that haunts anthropologists is the origin of their iron. They do not know how to mine or forge metal. Instead, they scavenge the corpses of shipwrecked vessels that wash upon their reef. They turn the wreckage of the modern world into weapons to keep our world away. They are sitting in the dark, watching giant steel leviathans bleed onto their shores, knowing that whatever's out there brings only destruction. We view them as primitive, but they have successfully repelled the violent tide of globalization that's swallowed every other culture on Earth. We spend our lives believing that the world belongs to us. We draw maps, plot coordinates, and assume that given enough time and money, every locked door will eventually open. These 5 places stand in silent rebellion against that arrogance. They remind us that some lines are drawn in blood, some are drawn by nature, and some are drawn to protect us from ourselves. Which of these locations do you think holds the darkest truth beneath its surface? Leave your thoughts below, as the answers often reveal more about our own fears than the places themselves. Stay curious, and do not forget to subscribe if you are ready to venture further into the unknown.